Sweet.
All right. So thank you everybody who is joining. I think we have a couple more people trickling in. But I wanted to take the time to introduce Will from Earnnest. Earnnest is a platform. He probably do a better job than I, but this is a standalone platform within Command to send hand money. This is an essential part of the process. Hopefully, this will be super informational for new to business and a great refresher for our producing agents. Hopefully, we can all learn a thing or two. So I'll hand the floor to Will.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate it, Nick, and really, really excited to be here with you guys. Obviously, Keller Williams is a huge partnership with us, um, really our biggest partnership across the board. And actually, our founder was or still is a Keller Williams mega agent here in the Greenville, South Carolina area. So we really love our Keller Williams partners, and yeah, I think this should be really good information. So just to start with, a quick overview of Earnest and what we do. Obviously, we are a payment processor that basically was created as an alternative to checks and wires. So we were founded in 2017. We were the first ones on the scenes doing this kind of thing in real estate transactions. Um, so we allow for a fully digital transfer of those funds directly from the buyer's account into the escrow account, right? So it goes straight from point A to point B. And we're able to do that fully securely. So we actually, and I'll get into that in just a moment, but it's totally secure. We're not storing any sensitive information, things like that. So we try to keep it really easy for you guys. Obviously, we were founded by real estate agents, so all our features and the layout and everything is focused on what's going to be easiest for your all's workflows, right? Um, so I want to hop over here and just briefly touch on uh, really what we were trying to solve at Earnest here. So the first problem obviously is payment fraud. So with this is data from about a year ago, but 1 in 4 people, when they're going for a closing, are targeted with suspicious communication. 1 in 10 become targets of wire fraud, and then a little more than 1 in 20 actually fall victim to wire fraud when we're looking at wires in the real estate industry. So that obviously is a really dangerous, and obviously that's why there's so many measures, and it's just a constant topic in the real estate industry. So that's something we sought to solve and have actually done a really good job of that. As well as obviously the old-fashioned method of paper checks, right? So home buyer writing a check, agent has to get the check, either a photocopy, drop it in the contract, take it to the office, chasing it around town, submitting it in. It takes up a lot of time, right? And that's the main goal is we're trying to save everybody time with this process. Um, so what we present is basically a solution that is fully secure, allows for it to be fully digital. These payments can be made anywhere, whether it's at midnight, somebody's at the ball field with their kids, at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday, they can submit their earnest money and that receipt goes out automatically and goes to your team and everything. So it really eliminates that problem of chasing wires around town, right? Um, so as far as security goes, I know I mentioned that problem obviously with wire fraud is what we're here to address as well. Um, the uh, the problem with wire fraud, obviously, that we have solved is the fact that we are a closed network of escrow holders. So the only people that can receive money through Earnest are verified, vetted out organizations like you all at Keller Williams Exclusive, right? So the problem with wires, obviously, is that anybody can kind of come in and pose on the back end and say, "Hey, send the wire here," and commit that fraud. So we don't have that option. It can only go to vetted out companies like you guys at Keller Williams Exclusive. Another important part that other digital options don't provide. So the reason we haven't, the reason people don't use Venmo, right, or Cash App or whatever to pay hand money, we call it earnest money here in the South, so my apologies. Um, but The main reason we don't do that in real estate is because of the risk of chargebacks and pullbacks, right? So we have a proprietary process on the back end where we actually protect those funds fully. Once they're deposited, they cannot be pulled out of your escrow account. So if a buyer goes and disputes that transaction, we see it all the time, 30, 45 days after closing even. We see people go and dispute with their bank and try to get that earnest money back. Crazy stuff. It doesn't come out of your escrow account. We get notified. So it offers that extra layer of protection and peace of mind for you all. All right. So um, that is kind of the overview of Earnest, the security measures we have in place and everything like that. So I want to hop into, how is this going to look on a day-to-day basis? How do you guys actually use this tool? So the main thing, first of all, to get started for anybody who is new to Earnest or has not used Earnest, the way that you can go ahead and get started here is by creating an account. We do not require much information to do that. So if you were to come to get started and agent registration here, or you could just go to the sign in and put in your email address. Um, and then all we're going to ask, if we don't recognize that email address in our system, it's just going to ask you for your name, phone number, and email, right? And from there, you have an account created and you're ready to go. So anytime you log into Earnest, there's no passwords. We send you a one-time code to get logged in. Okay. So I'll show you quickly what that looks like. Obviously, with Keller Williams being our, one of our biggest partner, really, we are directly integrated into Keller Williams Command, which I'm assuming you guys use on a day-to-day basis with these transactions, right? So probably the easiest way for you all to use Earnest is going to be through Command. So real quick, I'm going to show you a demonstration within Command of what that'll look like. And you can actually create your account directly just going in through Command. You don't even have to go to earnest.com. But if you do, just keep in mind Earnest is spelled with two N's in the middle. So it's kind of like Earnnest, earnest.com there. I always like to point that out because if you go to earnest with one N.com, it's like a student loan website and they'll try it, you have to pay for it. It's crazy. But we do see that come up. So um, let's hop over to Command and run through that. So I'm in Command here. This is obviously our demo environment. I'm going to hop down to my opportunities, and then I obviously see my pipeline. I'm going to go to my opportunities here, and I'll see everything listed out. So for the first example here, we're going to go through, say I'm representing the buyer's agent, and Keller Williams Exclusive is going to hold the escrow on that. Okay. So this contract here, I'm going to click into this opportunity with Bob Buyer. Um, So as you can see, I've got some of the details in here. You guys obviously are going to have probably more details in here than what I've got. But we've got this opportunity, and right under this details section, you can see the Earnest integration is populated right in here. All right. So that allows you to simply go in here and click send requests, and it's just going to bring you to a pop-out window straight to Earnest. So pretty simple there. Now, this is where if you didn't have an account with Earnest, obviously I am already logged in, so it just logs me straight in. If you didn't have an account or if it's been a while since you logged in, it's just going to ask you for your email and it's going to send you that one-time passcode to log in. Okay. So no passwords that you'll have to remember ever. The first question it's going to ask you is, do you have the email address of the person who's paying? So either option is fine. We can go either way. So obviously, in this case, if we're representing the buyer and you guys are holding escrow, you would typically have that buyer's information, right? If you were the listing agent and you are holding the escrow, probably not going to have that buyer's information. So I'll walk through both flows with you so you can have an idea of what we're looking at. So for this example, we'll say we're representing the buyer. So we'll click yes, I have their email of the person that's paying. And then we're going to go through here and fill out this information. So we've got Bob Buyer. Um, and then we just put in some numbers here. And let's say our earnest money deposit is $5,000. So we're putting in basic info on our buyer, the dollar amount of the deposit, and then we've got our property address here. So we're going to put in 111 First Street. Um, and now once we put in this address here, this is key. So you guys, when you sign up, you're not actually affiliating yourself with KW Exclusive, anything like that. You're just signing up as an agent within Earnest. The reason for that is in some markets, and maybe even in you guys' market, sometimes you're involved in a deal where the escrow is being held elsewhere, right? So basically what this allows, when you put in this Pennsylvania property address, we have a network of escrow holders and it filters down to just our Pennsylvania options. And you actually are going to search out who the appropriate escrow holder is and select them. Um, so for this example, we'll assume that Keller Williams Exclusive is holding the escrow. Okay. So we'll click to search. And if we just type in exclusive, um, we'll see there's a couple different options here. So we'll see Keller Williams Exclusive Trust Account. Okay. We could also type in Keller Williams and we'll see there's going to be several options here. Okay. So the main thing would be to probably the easiest way is going to be to search Keller Williams Exclusive and you'll see that only option pop up there, right? So if you type in that full name, make sure you select the appropriate escrow account there. All right, so we'll select that escrow account and just verify that this escrow holder is on the purchase contract. And from there, we are good to go. Um, so really, we filled out all the information. This last piece here is key, and this is really helpful. One of my favorite features personally, and a lot of agents really appreciate this, um, is that our receipts for these payments go out automatically. So you, as the agent, are going to get these receipts automatically. Your buyer will get these receipts automatically, and your admin team. So this is obviously we've got Nick's email in here to get all the receipts automatically. If there's anybody else involved, if there's a spouse, lender, if you want to include the listing agent, anything really, you can just drop their email in here and just hit plus, and that'll add that in there, okay? So you got to make sure to hit that plus button to drop it in. Um, But that keeps it really simple and can keep people in the loop so that after the fact, you're not having to make as many phone calls or shoot out extra emails forwarding things along. It'll just go automatically to their inbox, right? So that can be really convenient. So from there, we just confirm it's a fully executed contract, and then we would be able to send that request out. Now, obviously, I left out the zip code and a couple of things here. So I'm not actually going to send this request because this is a live environment. Um, but pretty simple there on sending the request out. Obviously, this is through command as if you were representing the buyer. Okay. So now what I want to do real quick is just go through an example as if you were representing the seller. So you're the listing agent. So we're going to click into a separate opportunity here. Um, and you can see I've got you guys' address listed in here as the opportunity, but we're going to do the same thing. So we're in this opportunity. You're the listing agent. We're going to go to send request here. Okay. Obviously, you would go through the login if you're not logged in. But the first question it's going to ask, do we have that email? Since we're on the listing side, probably not, right? So we'll hit no, I don't have their email. So from there, the first question it's going to ask us, instead of that buyer's info, it's going to ask us for who has the payer's info. So typically that is the buyer's agent, right? So what we would do is put in that buyer's agent's email here. Okay. So basically what this is going to do is send that email to the buyer agent. All they have to do is click to fill in the details of the buyer, and then that request is passed along to the buyer. So it just adds that one little extra step to that process. Okay. From there, we just fill in our property address same way. And obviously, still the same thing, put in PA as the state, and we're going to be able to select the escrow holder, type in Keller Williams exclusive here, and we'll see that trust account pop up. So pretty simple there. Same exact process. You're able to include everybody here. Um, that that buyer's agent will automatically get receipts as well. You'll automatically get the receipts as the listing agent, and obviously your back end team will get those as well. So if you want to add in anybody else, um, you can certainly do that. You can add your seller in here. You can add any lenders, anything like that. Um, so pretty simple there. The main thing with this flow, when you guys are holding on the listing side, you're the listing agent sending this request. Best practice is going to be when you send this request, because this is going to send an email over to the buyer's agent that looks like this. It's going to send this email to the buyer's agent and say, um, I'm sorry, it will not say you've been requested. It will say you've been asked to complete an earnest money request. And this is the buyer's agent receiving this. So they will have to click here to complete the request, right? When they do that, all they have to do is put in the buyer's info, and then that info is passed along. That request goes straight to the buyer. So it's just adding that extra step. We always recommend when you send this request to the buyer's agent, shoot them a text, give them a call to make sure they know, hey, just go in and click this link, fill in the buyer's info, and it goes right along. Okay. Sometimes what we see is buyer's agent, if they don't get a heads up, they'll just forward that info along, right? And it's not going to work if they do it that way, if they forward the email. So hopefully that makes sense on those two flows. Pretty simple there, um, but it does give you that flexibility on both options, okay? So I want to go now to, obviously, we've gone through command and how you can send these requests, right? We always encourage alongside of command, we always recommend downloading the Earnnest phone app for your phone. So you can go into Google Play or the App Store, Android or iPhone, search out Earnnest with two N's and download the app. It's free. We don't charge you guys anything for that, obviously. Um, what this allows for you to do is actually track and manage your requests that you've sent out. So within command, when you send that request, you're actually not going to see anything about it after the fact, right? Um, Coming into this phone app allows you to view the full timeline. As you can see this example here, we keep timestamps of everything. It allows you to resend requests. You can delete requests if you need to. You can forward email receipts along. A lot of good functionality that can prevent you from, necessarily having to call your MCA or call your office and see, hey, where's this at? You can just log into your Earnnest app and kind of see the status of it, okay? So it keeps it pretty simple there. So we always recommend having that app here. And what that looks like, just to give you an example, you also have a web dashboard available to you as well. Now, since you guys are using Command, this may not be your go-to option, but if you're a desktop worker, this may be a great option for you. And you would get here by just going to earnest.com and signing in. Okay. Um, but this web dashboard, just for an example, I sent a request here, and this is a demo environment. Um, but I did send a request, so I can see all the details. I can see the full timeline, so they haven't obviously done anything with it. And I can cancel it, resend it, anything I need to do there. So keeps it pretty simple. We try to give you guys plenty of tools there to manage it, okay? So I want to touch on the last thing here, obviously, is those receipts that go out. So when those payments are made, when you send a request out to a buyer or to a buyer's agent, and then it gets passed to the buyer, and they actually go in and complete their payment. Um, we are, it's a pretty simple process for them, usually takes on average 3 to 5 minutes. We have several security measures in place. They connect their bank accounts securely, digitally using Plaid. We're not storing any of their sensitive info, so it's really secure for them. Once they go through that 3 to 5 minute process, these receipts will automatically go out. So this first receipt here on the left is the receipt that goes out as soon as they hit pay. And this will show the full breakdown, property address, everything a lender wants to see that you can attach to the contract is included on this receipt. Now, this brings an important point. With Earnnest, the only way we make money or charge anybody anything is this $24 fee to the buyer. Okay. So you guys as agents, your office are not paying anything. It's just this one-time fee to the buyer on each transaction. And that fee does not change based on the dollar amount. So whether you've got a $1,000 or a $50,000 deposit, that fee stays the same at $24. Okay. So that first receipt goes out, and usually that can be treated like having a check in hand, dropping it off at the bank, making that photocopy. Um, from there, since we are utilizing the ACH network, you're going to see an average time frame of 1 to 3 business days for that money to fully deposit. Okay. Um, so this will actually only go to your back office team, but it lets them know that those funds have fully cleared into the account, and that they're good to go there. Okay. So that's those two receipts that go out. They come in via email. They're in the body of the email. They're also in a PDF attachment where you can just drag and drop wherever you need to. All right. So keeps it pretty simple there with those receipts. Gives you some really good information. Um, from there, the main thing I want to emphasize, just to finish up this walkthrough, is our support team they do a fantastic job. So obviously I'm with the success team. I mainly deal with training and account management items with admins kind of on the back end. Um, for agents and your clients, our support team is going to be a great resource for you. So this information here, and you can come to earnnest.com, and I'll actually drop this link in the chat just for everybody to have access to it. Um, but trust me, I used to work in telecom, so I know support teams often. I would never have sent my client to a support team back then. Our team is, they're all based mostly around here, and they do a fantastic job, whether it's hand-holding a buyer, explaining something, hand-holding, through your first request, whatever it may be. They do a really good job there. And of course, outside of that, we have a lot of resources and PDF guides um, that I want to just show you quickly. If you go to resources and FAQs here, we have everything broken down by role. So whether it is you as an agent for your payer, oftentimes the best resources are kind of housed under this payer page. So if we click on payer, we can see some really helpful pages. Completing a payment is often really helpful for them. So we have these PDF guides um, that basically just walks them through step by step how to complete that payment once you send that request over, okay? So hopefully cuts down on questions you guys are having to try to answer. We don't want you having to deal with that. That's our job, obviously. So um, this PDF is great. Additionally, we have this fraud prevention page. A lot of times people with digital payments, even though it is way more secure than a paper check having sensitive information on it, or obviously a wire with a fraud potential, people still have questions about that, right? Um, so this guide is a security guide. It goes really into detail on the information. We're not storing anything on anybody except name, phone number, and email. Banking information is fully tokenized and disposed of after the transaction. So nobody's actually ever seeing that information, if that makes sense. Um, we do have the ID protection. They do go through a brief identity verification process during their payment. Um, and obviously, we protect those payments on the back end from being pulled back. So this can be really helpful for anybody who wants a deeper dive on the security. Okay. So I'll make sure your team has those available so that they can be, available for your internal resources. Um, but that is really the Earnest run through. Most important thing, obviously, for you guys is to be able to get started. You can come to earnest.com and sign in. You can go ahead and download the phone app and sign in, create your account. Or you can come through command. And if you have an opportunity you're looking to send a request on, you can just go to send request. And if you don't have an account yet, it'll get you to create it right then and there. So pretty simple. But I do want to pause now, open it up. If there's any questions, feel free to hit me with them. And we can kind of talk through it, especially since we've got a smaller group here.
One of the ones I had was just recently Command rolled out where admins are able to access agents' accounts without like having to sign in as the actual agent.
Mhm.
Do you know if that Earnest capabilities are still within that admin account they now have, or is it something that would be only agent specific?
It should be. And you can probably, if you can, Nick, have you accessed that? Like, have you tried that and logged into an agent's view yet?
Actually, we just had our Johnstown branch has like a general admin that there for
Hmm.
most of the paperwork. So I just added them last week or maybe the week before.
Okay.
So I'll actually see if what their lab looked like. I was just, I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of a minor switch. It's more, I just don't know what the extent of the like what views what they're all able to view within that account now. So I was curious.
Yeah, exactly. I would assume, if you're able to view these opportunities and see the same kind of layout, then it should be still
Yeah.
still laid out in there. Um,
Okay.
but I will be curious because I was not aware of that change. Sometimes we get notified a little late to the game.
Yeah, yeah,
So if you could just let me know, whether you see that or not when you log in there.
yeah. Because then the other question would be like if they do have the access to do so,
Mm,
it kind of bleeds into licensure, making sure that if they have to be licensed or not to send these requests,
mm.
that kind of thing as well. So I might have just made some more work for myself.
Yeah, right. You know, Obviously that comes down to you guys as kind of internal and
Yeah.
legal policies.
Okay.
Um, but with that being the case, obviously you would have, if you can log in and actually have access to this, then you would be able to send those requests yourself. Um, and Nick, you also have the admin dashboard yourself, right? And you
Yeah.
do have the ability to send requests through there yourself, if you ever
Yeah.
want to. So
Yeah.
I know that may not be something that comes up a lot, but just in case it ever happens.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, and then I have like just best practices that you would recommend in terms of timelines for sending
mhm.
earnest requests, like
Yeah.
stay away from the weekend, like Fridays into the weekend, or is that something that's not affected by Earnest?
So obviously we work on banking. The money moves based on banking. So if you send a payment request on Friday or if you send it on a Saturday, they're able to go in and complete the full process and hit pay. Obviously that money is not actually going to move until Monday morning when the bank's open, right? So you got to factor in business days. Obviously, if you have a contract that's closing, if it's a quick close, you've got it closing in 7 days or something, and you're trying to get this in. Um, Probably would want to go with an alternative. They may need to send a wire, right? Because it needs to be instant in that scenario. I would say um, allow usually 4 to 5 business days just to be safe, for those funds to fully deposit. Um, but the typical time frame you'll see is 1 to 3 business days. You'll see some that clear same day. So it really depends on the technology on both sides of the banks and how up to date they are. And whether they're able to expedite those ACHs or not. And we're able to do that in about 95% of cases. It's an expedited ACH, which allows it to clear more in that 2 business day range, you know. Um, but yeah, definitely don't, if you've got something where you need to have this in ASAP, the next day has to be deposited because you've got a quick close, would definitely look at an alternative payment method there. Great question, though. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the things people have asked me that I didn't have
sure.
answers for.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think if, like, say, what I guess walk through what would happen. Last thing I had was if they accidentally make a mistake in how much they're supposed to send in, how would
Mhm.
you go about fixing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, if you send the request through command, like I mentioned, you can't cancel those requests. So that's why we recommend people having the phone app because it gives you that visibility into this request. So obviously, if you send over like this request, I sent over for $10,000, right? If it was supposed to be $1,000 and I just put an extra zero, then the payer would probably catch that and be like, oh, this is not correct. So they're going to let you know, right? So you'd be able to, in your phone app, you can actually just go to manage and cancel this request out. So we don't have the ability to edit requests that are currently in place just to keep transaction integrity.
Mhm.
But you're able to hit that cancel button and then you would just go back and redo it, whether that's through the phone app or go back into command and resend a request. But that's a great question that does come up, whether it's, a misspelling of the name, anything like that. Um, you are able to cancel it and resend it. Another thing that comes up is, if say somebody submits an earnest request or an earnest money deposit through Earnest for a certain property, right? Um, that property ends up falling through and they want to switch to a different property, but they want to keep the same earnest money amount, and keep it with you guys. We don't have the ability to edit property address in our system once a transaction has been completed. That's really due to security protocols, keeping transaction integrity across the board. So what we recommend, and this most of our clients and everything, um, there's no issue with this for lenders. It's to just add an amendment to the contract, with that earnest receipt showing the different property address, but still showing that the funds were received, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. That happens a couple times here so far.
Yeah,
Not too many this year, but and then sending an additional, if there's more to that deposit, they can send an additional request in the new opportunity and keep this the initial deposit as well.
exactly. Right. Only thing to factor in when you're sending, if there's multiple requests, obviously there's going to be multiple processing fees, that
Yep.
$24.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
just something to keep in mind there. Um, But yeah, pretty hopefully this has been helpful for you guys and can kind of give you an overview of the value. Really wanted to emphasize the security and the simplicity of this process, for you all, especially in comparison to standard checks and wires. So hopefully hopefully that was helpful. Any other
Yeah.
questions, anything I can answer?